Beetlejuice, sometimes spelt Betelgeuse.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Anna was really confused about that, and I genuinely think that was the original title, but for audiences to properly understand it, they made it phonetic and made it Beetlejuice. So let's talk about Beetlejuice, and then talk about Beetlejuice, because sure, at some point we're also going to get Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. To talk about the sequel, which has just come out, let's talk about the original first of all. Came out 1989. 88. 30. What's that? 6 years ago.
It's rare for me to get a date for you there.
Absolutely, yeah, that is quite rare.
Because Batman was 89. So
That's right.
Like,
Yes. So 36 years ago, we have Beetlejuice, a Tim Burton movie. Tim Burton, who had already made.
Ooh, I have to
what
check.
at
Do you want
that
to find
point?
out? You keep talking. I got it.
Tim Burton. I think he made one. Oh, he made. Oh, actually, it was. I don't know.
Is it like his seminal film?
Yeah.
Going back to... Okay, so Beetlejuice in 88. Fairy Tale Theatre, 86. Alfred Hitchcock Presents in 86. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, 85.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
There's a Frankenweenie short. Hansel and Gretel.
So really one of his first films.
One of his first films.
Okay.
He'd done a lot of TV stuff.
So Beetlejuice, the first one, comes out in 1988. Basic premise of that is Alec Baldwin, a very young Alec Baldwin.
Weird to see Alec Baldwin, clean-shaven and fresh.
He's 30 in it. And when I watched it with Anna, she was like, I've never seen him under the age of 50. Never seen him as a young man. And he's in it. And he and Gina Davis play a loved-up couple who have a tragic accident within the first couple of minutes of the film.
Very
and then they
comical.
realise they are stuck in their house on the hill, as ghosts are bound to their property, cannot leave. The house gets sold. Who moves in? But Winona Ryder and her stepmother, played by Catherine O'Hara, and her father. And they proceed to do up the house and make lots of changes, and they don't like it. And it's kind of this reverse exorcism thing where it's like, instead of people trying to get rid of ghosts, you have ghosts trying to get rid of people. And to do that, they hire the help of a bioexorcist called Beetlejuice. Hey, I'm the ghost with the most. And
He's kind of like a demented car salesman.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
has
yeah,
like,
yeah, he is, yeah.
That's sort of the format, 'cause he does like an ad for his own services.
Oh, yeah. He and then obviously with this, it's incredibly Tim Burton-esque. Everything is ersatz and strange and black
Like a
and
fun fair,
white.
hall of mirrors, and a fun house
sort
style.
of cutesy, but then also disturbing with lots of practical effects and really quite great old-fashioned effects.
Oh, like
in it.
cardboard and
Claymation,
foam.
Yeah.
Every single set felt like if you leant on it, it would fall over,
Yeah.
but in a really charming way.
And everything's wonky and slightly askew.
Yeah.
And Beetlejuice is not. The character is not in the original movie for that long. He only comes in about halfway through, and he hasn't got that much runtime. And in the original cast list, he is and Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. And I rewatched it recently. You watched it for the first time.
Yeah.
I quite like it.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
I really got the sense. I was watching it, some sort of modern digital, live service version of that film, watching in 4K on a laptop screen. Which obviously isn't the ideal way it was meant to be watched, but I really got the sense that I'm not seeing this on VHS on a CRT TV or in cinema being shown in the way it was. And there's something about, I wonder, the effect of it being digitally cleaned up that loses its original charm for me.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I don't really have a large take about it other than it's very creative, it's very quirky, it's super random and strange to just flick on.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I get all the things that have sort of superseded it, and I understand where all the references are now. I'm glad I actually saw it for Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah, and I think that it's strange for first of all, it was actually a hit. It was, for such a strange film at the time, it made a good amount of money, and I really find that quite strange because it's so peculiar.
Different
I think
landscape.
Michael Keaton is brilliant in it, and when I watched it again, the original, I was thinking, actually, you can draw a line from your performance as Beetlejuice to the Grinch, to so many things, and
Like Robin Williams, Jim Carrey.
the whole thing. And we talked about this on Double Take, but Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice is just Michael Keaton in a way we haven't seen him before. He's usually this quite intense actor, a very good actor, but this comic foil of his is brilliant. I love the and the just little jokes in the film about like the underworld, which I love. Where he's like, "Hey, there goes Elvis! Look out!" And the kind of the waiting room, the underworld waiting room. We have all
Take
these
your
people.
ticket.
Yeah, take your ticket. Everyone's been injured in certain ways, and there's this joke in the original about, if you commit suicide in real life, you'll become a civil servant in the underworld. And so you have these people who are smoking, smokes coming out of the cut in their throat. Yeah. Anyway.
It actually reminds me of where I imagine inspiration for the genie in Aladdin did. Jumping around the room, eyes bumping out of the thing, taking on different forms.
That's like a PG version of it.
Totally.
Yeah. And with Beetlejuice 2, so they made that one and it was a success and it's kind of become a bit of a cult film. And now 36 years later, we're getting a second one. And in the run up to this, I was saying to James, like, I've always been very confused about, not only have we got a sequel to this movie, which just seems as just another, what IP haven't we used, can we dish out? But also, like, Beetlejuice as a sequel, like, people know it, sort of, but I think you have to be a film fan to really know it. I really don't know if you're an average film goer walking down the street, what's Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
And not only have they made it, they've gone huge with it. It's a mass-marketed, big budget, show it in IMAX.
We saw it in IMAX. And I was like, sure, if you say so.
And I guess it's kind of, obviously Michael Keaton is still a very big actor. Winona Ryder's resurfaced with Stranger Things, and obviously the kind of throwback thing there. General Ortega's obviously very popular. Catherine O'Hara even is bigger now with off of Schitt's Creek, and like, you have all these ingredients. But going into this, I was like, this is strange that they're really pushing, of all things, Beetlejuice on us.
Yeah.
It almost very cynically is like, it says what's kind of wrong with cinema, that you think that Beetlejuice is the answer, as much as we like the original. Come on. Anyway, so Beetlejuice picks up many years later. We follow Delia. No, what's Winona's name?
Oh.
Delia's the mother. Stand by. Oh, sorry guys, there's so many plot details. Delia, Sandra.
Lydia Dietz.
It's basically the same name, but reverse. Okay.
Almost there.
So we follow Winona Ryder as Lydia Dietz, who now has a show on, late night TV where
Very
she
late night with the devil feeling. Actually
goes into people's homes and sees ghosts. And Winona Ryder from the first one has the ability to see ghosts. She is in a relationship with her manager, played wonderfully by Justin Theroux.
When he slides in, you're doing great.
You're doing great. This sort of cocked eyebrow. He's doing a really great comic performance.
Really good.
Very silly. They're in a relationship, and he wants to take it further. She's not really that interested. Her mother, a stepmother rather, Catherine O'Hara, is still a crazy avant-garde artist making basically trash art, but living in the art world. And we discover at the beginning of the film that their father has passed away, and they need to return back to Winter's Hollow or whatever it's called, some creepy Tim Burton name. Yeah. But in so doing, she needs to phone her estranged daughter, played by General Ortega, who's called Astrid. So many little bits happening, to bring them back and mourn the loss of their father. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Beetlejuice is still kicking around with his head not shrunk. He's just he's basically got like a cottage industry of sort of a side hustle of doing mini exorcisms for people. He's like a helpline where people call in.
I also like that his makeup from the original was so like wiry and craggly. Yeah. He doesn't look like he's aged at all. No. It looks exactly like the Beetlejuice from the original.
Just maybe with more of a paunch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe.
No,
nothing wrong with that.
Not shaming, body
and
shaming.
Works.
Of course it works. You're allowed to be whatever age. He's 600 years old, for God's sake. Let him kick back.
You won't look that good at 600.
He's kicking around downstairs, and then something that he discovers that an ex-wife of his, played by Monica Bellucci, has sort of managed to bust herself out and compose herself together, and is after him. She's after his soul. Dolores. She's after his soul, and we sort of revealed their backstory in quite a funny skit.
That was very good. Which is just in Spanish.
Yeah, just for dramatic effect. For reasons. And then you also have a sort of side thing where General Ortega's striking up a relationship with a boy in town. Mm-hmm. Lots of things happening, but sooner or later, as you expect, Lydia realizes that she needs the help of Beetlejuice. And a bit like the first film, although Beetlejuice is in it, he doesn't really come into the actions about halfway through.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton has said that he didn't want to do this film unless he had the same amount of runtime as the first one. He didn't want any more runtime because he felt it diluted it, even though I'm pretty sure he has more runtime in this.
Double the runtime. Yeah,
I think he has more runtime in this. But anyway, that's the setup for Beetlejuice. It's still very Tim Burton, very kooky. James?
I thought it was okay. I had a fine time with it. There's things I really like that, because I watched Beetlejuice 1 this week, I actually within a week, I enjoyed how much stylistically it feels very, very, very similar. Like there's this specific style of the way they used to shoot helicopter / drone stuff over a town, where they let the camera point down and the ground runs up and it reveals. I'm glad that old school style of doing aerials was carried straight into this, and they use a lot of jibs and floaty camera work and the text with the outer glow. It did just feel like they picked up where they left off. everything we said about Michael Keaton's performance, him just being straight back into it, that Robin Williams-esque Jim Carrey style, I'm just going to be the biggest, loudest person in the room. Those kind of lines of dialogue, which are like, blink and you miss them, funny. I giggled and had a good time with it, but like with Beetlejuice 1, I'm like, cool, this is like super random and strange. It's entertaining, it's funny. I'm not exactly like thrilled or enamored. I'm not Beetlejuice's back, plant it on the cereal boxes and make the Lego set.
Yeah.
I'm just more like, it was okay. I enjoy Justin Theroux.
Yes.
Everyone's sort of back in their roles, having a good time. William Dafoe, we said this on the way out. He's just on such a role. He's doing 3 films a year, and he's just a really interesting, fun, doesn't take himself too seriously, interesting, creative role in anything you put him in. And I just think he so seamlessly slots into this really weird world. There's loads of those jokes like in the underworld, and it's really playful, like the Soul Train.
Yes,
I particularly enjoyed the idea of, which is actually like everyone's dancing to disco tunes with afros and flares. And you know, it builds to a fun sequence. I think maybe the Monica Bellucci villain thing was kind of underbaked and maybe didn't really lead anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm sat there wondering, why has this been made?
Yes.
I've not had a bad time, but I don't see in this film the reason for its existence.
Yes. I tell you the same thing. I would describe it on the positive note that I would call it chucklesome. I wouldn't say I laughed out loud, but I chuckled solidly.
I had a couple of really good chuckles.
There are some very inventive jokes in it, using practical effects, using very witty dialogue, very good performances, and there's good things that I was like, that's great. Everyone's bringing their A game. Everyone's having fun. I would say it's probably the best Tim Burton film he's made in a while.
Oh.
I don't think Tim Burton's made a great film in a good
I'd have to check through the records,
really,
but I believe you.
And I think he's enjoying being back in this world and creating new things and being inventive, and I love that. I mean, the whole creation of sort of Willem Dafoe's character, even though he's a side character, this whole sort of side plot of him being a former actor, like, scenery chewing guy, like I just like that.
He wanted to do his own stunts, but it all went wrong, and he's dead. But it's just at the start of every scene, someone brought him a coffee. He's always flirting with his own assistant, like.
And there's like a nice bit of animation they use when they explain what happened to Lydia's father. You know, the sort of stop motion. I quite like how inventive it is. But yeah, a bit like you know, it's only an hour 45. I felt towards the end, I was like, we can wrap this up. And yeah, I arrive at the end, and I think, yes, I've chuckled, and yes, I've sort of enjoyed myself. I still don't know why this exists. I still don't really know what you wanted to get out of it, other than resurrecting something for another bit of fun. It really feels more just like, oh, let's take that for a spin again. But it's a bit like a cul-de-sac. You've ultimately gone right back where we started.
Yeah.
Fine. The explanation for why Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis aren't in the movie is so like half-assed and throwaway. Even the movie makes a joke about it. They're just like, oh yeah, them. No, they're gone.
And the one where it's like, oh, he was on a plane crash. And then a shark came.
Yeah, there's a reason why Jeffrey Jones isn't in the movie.
He's really retconned out of that. It's very fun.
But yeah, I chuckles. The Monica Bellucci thing, I agree. It was just like they establish her intent, and then she's just sort of around.
She feels like she goes away for a long time. There's actually a really great scene with tragedy playing in the background, and she staples her whole body back together, and it's really creative and fun. I'm not embracing the randomness. I do think the randomness is part of its charm, and it's fittingly random that it's come out 36 years later. I was wondering, does this have a kind of charm to it, like an Edgar Wright Scott Pilgrim versus the World does, of being like just random craziness happening, but it gets its own life because of that. I couldn't quite tell if I was experiencing something of that ilk.
Maybe. I mean, I thought that what I liked, particularly there's a good gag towards the end, obviously, which we won't spoil, but it's like, I was actually thinking as well that I was quite pleased that looking at the film, I thought it would be quite studio, big budget, sanitized, but I would quite enjoy the fact that there's a joke later on in the movie that testifies this. It's like, it can be squeamish and nasty and shocking and kind of bloody, and I didn't think they were going to do that. But yeah, it's there. If you haven't seen the original Beetlejuice, here's my thing.
I'm really glad I'd seen.
I think you'd be lost. I think you'll be thinking, what am I watching? And not in a fun way. I think you'd be lost. But I'm concerned that for a movie that's gone this big, with its kind of a marketing and approach, that you can't rely on people to have seen that movie from 30. This isn't Top Gun Maverick.
No, I don't watch Beetlejuice 2 and think, I'm getting sick of saying Beetlejuice. I don't watch that film and go like, oh wow, self-contained. Like anyone come along, I go, yeah, fine. Yeah. It's only there if you're a fan of it, which like based on our gauge of the cinema landscape and like how rejuvenated an IP is, it's not it's not that relevant.
It's not. Yeah,
It's random. It's the whole thing is random to me.
It's quite bizarre. But
Jenna Ortega's fine in it.
I actually thought the guy who plays the boy in the village, his name's Arthur Conti. I quite liked him as an actor.
He reminds me of Penn Badgley a bit.
And he actually reminded me of a cross between Jesse Eisenberg and Ansel Elgort. And
if you haven't seen him, you can just paint a little picture of what he looks like.
And I think he's very charming. And he's British as well.
Great. Nice.
Fooled me.
Love to see it.
Love to see it. Love to see the boys.
What we voted for?
Anyway, so
not a thumb. I don't think it's bad.
It's not a bad film. It's just kind of there. It's a bit bizarre. I think the audience we were in enjoyed it as well. There people were chuckling.
Yeah, people had some good laughs.
It's fine. It
is.
You know what it is? It's Beetlejuice. It is what it is.
It's as random as the plot points in the films. The fact that it came out.
Yes.
I'm happy that they all are making it and everyone's back. Great fun. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you had any questions, thoughts, concerns, reviews, send them into hello@popkitchenpodcast.com and we would love to read them out on the show. Beetlejuice.
Well, hey there, I'm the ghost of the monster. Hey, now listen to me, we got a big thing.
It must be so easy.
It's my ex-wife, get out there. Hold on! Sorry, I don't want to spill my guts. Whoops. Yes, I did there. See you, sucker.
Loads of horrifying stuff with like the baby and the thing. Yeah.